I'm picking your beer on you.
What?
Can you get yours? Every time you make a noise over here, it's picking up and it's putting me on the screen.
They're coming now.
Here they come.
Can you put yours on mute?
Ah.
Good enough.
You can check us out at oakwoodlending.com. I've been a TREIA member since 2012 and a vendor lender member since 2016. Looking forward to doing business with you. Reach out to us at oakwoodlending.com.
Hello, TREIA family. My name is James Clark Jr. I became a TREIA member 3 months ago. I joined TREIA to build relationships with like-minded individuals, learn about real estate investing, and become a successful and savvy real estate investor. I started an LLC with my father in 2012. Shortly after, my grandfather deeded us his house, and we bought a fourplex and renovated that. I specifically am ready to scale and buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat strategy known as BRRRR in multifamily properties. I've been an air traffic controller for 15 years, 5 of which I spent in California, enjoying San Francisco 49er games and some of the most beautiful sunsets you'll ever see. My favorite quote is "Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing" by Warren Buffett. And my favorite books are Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm looking for a joint venture with a savvy and experienced investor. First strategies with multifamily, if that's possible. I think that's the best way to learn on the job training. Is what I've done most of my career, and I know I can learn and grow from that. The things I like most about TREIA are the consistency with education, with opportunity, and with networking. I've met so many great people. I've had so much fun learning about real estate investing in the videos, and opportunities are balanced if you check the Facebook TREIA page out with wholesale or any kind of investing strategies that you're looking for. If you would like my contact information, again, I'm James Clark Jr. You can reach me at 910-354-5811. Again, 910-354-5811. Or my email address, invest@jnjcarolina.com. Again, that's invest@jnjcarolina.com. Thank you, and I hope each of you have a great day.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, this is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to TREIA Fayetteville, only TREIA anywhere, actually, as we're saying about all of our subgroup meetings. Cheryl has a great program for you tonight, and she'll take it over in just a minute. Just a couple announcements. First of all, if you want to be featured in the member spotlight like you just saw, either stick us a little note in the chat or send us an email at treiaprojects.com. We would love to feature you. Likewise, if you have any ideas, any projects you would like to see us do, any speakers or classes you would like us to bring in, please let us know. As you saw there in the slides, if you were reading them, our new structure, which was finally completed at the beginning of this year, allows us to do those things which under our old structure we were not allowed to do. As an example, we have a mentorship program now starting up. We have a list of mentors and a list of mentees, and soon we will be finalizing that program and getting the word out. And as a really great example, we had a class and we had 13 students in that class. Each student paid $10,000 to take the class. The class did an actual hands-on rehab. They found a house in Cary, North Carolina. They rehabbed it. It took a little longer than your normal rehab would take, but anytime you have 13 people making decisions, you know, that's just a little unavoidable. But they got it done. They put it, they had about, it was a very creative deal because we were able to get cash out of pocket for the balance owed on the mortgage. It was $25,000. The house was nasty, nasty, nasty. And then we paid a wholesaler fee, and there was an IRS lien of $70,000. So all told, they had about $140 in it. They spent $90 to rehab it, so a total of about $230. They put it on the market for $289, and in 2 days they sold it for $305. Now, to make it even better, since we didn't pay the IRS lien when we bought the house, it has to be paid at closing, of course. It saved money out of pocket. It meant they didn't have to get a hard money loan to finish it and to spend that kind of money. But also, during that time, we've been negotiating an offer in compromise, which under normal times would have been approved by now, but because of COVID, it's going to take another month. But so they made just over $50,000 as is, and if and when the offer and compromise go through, they will make $80,000 on that project. So every student is going to get a full tuition refund. Most of them have said that they've learned more on that project than any class they ever took, and it's going to end up being free for them. So but now that it's done, it actually closed today, and we'll be starting up a next one. So if you're interested, once again, drop us a comment in the chat or shoot us an email at treiaprojects.com. Otherwise, welcome. These content in these Zoom meetings is great. Tonight is no exception. You are going to learn from Cheryl how to perfect your elevator pitch, which is so important because, you know, if you're out and this is what you do for a living and someone comes up on you and you can't tell them in 2 sentences what you do, that's a missed opportunity right there. So if anyone wants to do a short who's got what before Cheryl starts, if you have something you want to offer or something you're looking for, put it real quick in the chat and we'll do that. Or if you just want, if you have a happy news, if you just did a project, sold a house, like I just did, a little show and tell, Heck, if you had a new grandbaby, I don't care. If there's anything you'd like to say, stick it in the chat and we'll let you say your piece before we get started. Because, as you know, one of the great benefits of TREIA is being able to network and meet face-to-face and shake hands and say hello and do deals. Unfortunately, we can't do that now. So this is one of the ways we're trying to substitute. Another way is our Facebook networking group. Go on there. There's lots of activity and lots of deals being done. It's Triangle Real Estate Investors Association networking group on Facebook. Our host of our new investors meeting last night, who was Chris Bowman, made a great point that I wish I had thought of a while ago. Since this is a replacement for networking, if y'all have your cameras on, it's so much better. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Becca. If you can't do that, even if you at least have a picture, because guys, it'll help you a lot when we get back to networking. This is the way we get to know you now. And if you never put your face up there, when we go to a meeting, you know, you're not any further ahead because we don't know you. Like right now, I'd recognize Becca for one thing. If she always wears those glasses,
They're great.
Oh man, I remember you because I love those glasses. You know what I'm saying? It's important, and I hadn't thought of it before. Chris brought it up last night, and I just thought it was such a great point. So, you know, it's a new concept, but maybe for the future, figure out how to do that, y'all. It really, really, it makes a difference.
It will once we get back to in-person meetings, people, because they're gonna know who the heck you are.
Yeah. And that, believe me, that's important.
It's very important.
It makes a difference.
They don't know who you are, they're not going to trust you.
Yeah, so if you sit here with Cheryl tonight and get your elevator pitch and have your face known, you're going to be step of the game. Helen Feeney says she doesn't have a camera, how to put the photo. Helen, you won't be able to do it right now, but after the call, go into your Zoom settings. I'll try to figure it out during the call because I don't remember how I did it, but I'll figure it out and tell you. But it is a Zoom setting that you can do. And you know what, guys, if you use your phone, it will show you. You can use the camera on the phone. So if you don't have a camera on your desktop or laptop, you can always use your phone. And finally, I just have one more thing to say. If you were not on the meeting last night, which was all about the TREIA website, I'm going to suggest to you that you watch that video because it was fantastic. And I don't have it up yet, but I'll try to get it up during this meeting. There were so many things that I didn't even know about how to use that website. But most importantly, the thing that impressed me the most anyway, is that it comes with your free website, which you probably already know, but you can also get a premium website. And if you get that thing, dude, there's built-in things in there where if you're rolling up to a property to make do an estimate, you can put in there new roof, new flooring, whatever. There's a whole checklist pre-populated. You just click on it. It will put in first of all, you can preload it with your own averages, but you don't even have to do that. Like if you're estimating a house in Florida, it will put in the averages for all those items in the state that your property's in. It will pull up the property. Then so you can show this estimate to the seller. And the point that Mike made last night was that you would be surprised how much. If you just tell someone, oh, this place needs 40,000 in rehab, they're going to think you're full of crap and they aren't going to trust you. But if you show it to them on paper broken down, they'll be like, oh yeah, I thought it was only 10,000. I can see it really is 40.
People have no idea. They have no idea what things cost.
They don't. That's right. And then this same program will print an automatic letter out for you with multiple offers. Like, here's a full price offer if you owner finance it over time, or if you want cash. I mean, I'm not going to belabor the whole thing. I will just say it was impressive. Watch the video if you get a chance. So I've taken enough of your time. Jackie or Leslie, is there anything I missed or that needs to be said? All right.
I don't think so.
It's all yours, Cheryl.
But we have to hear you.
Thank you, Osman. Nice to see you.
Hey. Oh, I do want to do a shout out though to Matthew. Matthew, you're new. Welcome aboard. I was scanning right before the meeting started, so we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you very much.
Matthew, is this your first meeting?
I was in the meeting yesterday.
Okay.
Oh,
Just a member. So yeah,
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
thank you.
welcome aboard.
Cool beans.
Thanks.
So if you can set me as for presenter, I can share my screen.
Let's see, I already did, I thought, but let me, yes, you are already set.
Okay, so you see my screen now?
There we go. Well,
No, you still don't.
Nope.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Getting there, getting there. Bear with. Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
There you go.
Yep,
You
we
got
got
it.
you now.
You got it.
Okay, so before we jump in to what an elevator pitch is, I just want to build up off of what they were saying, both Jackie, Leslie, and of course Kathy. The thing is that if you're going to be online doing this, and you have to kind of come out of that bubble, that comfort bubble, and we're going to talk about this a little bit tonight. You want to be able to be comfortable in your own skin. You want to be able to put your brand out there, because really when you're building this business, you are building brand. And that is critical. So if you are in that comfort bubble, you need to pop it. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. So first and foremost, what is an elevator pitch? I just want to change my view setting here on the side so I can see everybody. Okay. So what is an elevator pitch? I actually looked it up just to see for, laughs, what it actually says it is. So I found a definition on Wikipedia, and this is what it says. Elevator pitch or elevator speech statement is a short description of an idea, product, or company that explains the concept in such a way that any listener can understand it in a short period of time. Well, that's really kind of the beginning, and it doesn't really tell you everything else that we need it to be. So what we really want it to be is something more than that, that's deeper than that. So we want to develop what yours is going to be tonight. Okay, so we talked about the bubble. There's a lot of people in this business that when you're in a room, a big TREIA meeting, for example, or a church picnic, or, in the old days, pre-COVID, you need to be comfortable getting up and talking to people. If you don't do that, then you're really limiting yourself and your potential business opportunities. You can't grow your business and scale your business without people, right? So you have to pop that bubble and progress forward. So the reason for the elevator pitches is you want to not just say, hi, how are you? This is my name, and walk away. You want to give them a reason, something that will benefit them to want to talk to you, work with you. How are you going to be remembered? So to grow and scale it, you have to think of something that you can provide them with that is going to give them a benefit, because this may be your only opportunity to make that impression. Liken it to speed dating. So, an elevator pitch is supposed to be between 30 and 60 seconds. So I'm sure if you haven't done it in person, you've probably seen it in a movie or on television or witnessed it walking by something. And they have those, meetings where they have the buzzers or the bells and people swap in and swap out really fast. So that's kind of what it's like for your business, speed dating for your business. When you're at a big networking type meeting, you have to talk to as many people as you can, in a very short period of time before they flicker the lights or call you back to your seats, So you really, this pitch, and I know it's not probably a great label for it, but this pitch is honestly going to make or break you in the ability to communicate things to other people. And I'm sure in sales, people have heard that always be closing. No matter what we're doing, where we are, I always have that in the back of my mind that, I don't know by looking at somebody what their abilities are, what their skills are, what their values are, how they can help me. And they don't know that about me until we start talking and peel back, those layers. Okay. So where do you use it? Of course, you can use it anywhere. But some good examples would be in person. So when we're talking in personal social situations, you can use it. of course. And it's not necessarily inappropriate when you're in a familial situation or something like that. You certainly can talk about what you do and offer some things to people and let them know and educate them. Otherwise, how are you going to get referrals? You know, one of the biggest referral databases that people actually get tons of phone calls from is based on, you know, church community. So person to person. The second is business to business. So every business out there has a need for something, and so do you. So you have to figure out what each other's needs are so that you can add value that way. And then of course you want to look at your sphere of influence. So you want to leverage that. You have a primary, which is the number one, and then the secondary, and then the third, which is your tertiary. So you have to look at, okay, the people that are closest to me, the people that are close to them, and then so on. So those are kind of the three on the breakdown of where you use it. So what is the message? Who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? When are you going to follow up with them, or when are you going to meet with them, or whatever the case? So you have to ask yourself those basic questions just to begin, what should I be saying? Okay. And you really have to imagine, you know, you're stuck in an elevator for 60 seconds and the person looks at you and you look at them, and do you strike up the conversation, especially if you're at some sort of business meeting or business networking type situation? What are you going to say? Right. So you want to tell everybody what you're doing. You want to ask everyone, do they know anyone that needs your services? So a good example of that, not that long ago, actually, probably maybe 6 months or so, give or take, we rent office space at a building in downtown Fayetteville. So we have our property management company there. And so we were in a smaller space. Now we're in a bigger space. And now we've actually bought a building. So we're going to be out of that space entirely. But the person who owns that building has been a business consultant and in the real estate business for a long, long time, many decades. So he came down and I said, you know, do you know anybody that can use our services? And he kind of walked out and turned back around and came back in the room and said, you know what you need to say is ask everybody that you meet, do you know anybody that needs your service? Do you or anyone know anyone? You know, that kind of thing. So you're not just limiting it to that person, you're making them think, do you know anyone or do you need this service? So he sure enough came back in, and as a matter of fact, we're now helping to market and manage his commercial building, as well as the fact that he wants to retire next year, and we're going to be managing 20 other commercial spaces for him as well. So just in that one conversation, you just never know what's going to happen. So just ask everyone, you know, do they know anyone that needs your services? And then give them a reason to grow your business. You know, leads, obviously, that's the most obvious thing coming out of this, but you know, you want to give them that benefit. So you have to figure out what that is for yourself. I know with us, our benefit is we're competitive. We offer services that no one else here does, and we do it really well, you know. So I know that because we get so many referrals and our business is growing so quickly. So give them a reason for you to grow your business with them, okay? By the way, feel free in the chat box to ask questions, and I think that typically what we do is they're asked either during or at the end, and I'm fine with either, so just feel free. All right, so the next is business to business marketing. We've talked about it a little bit, but you want to add value to their business. So by doing that, don't limit yourself. And I know right now we can't do all of this the way we normally would, but this is gonna hopefully be forever. We will have a light at the end of the tunnel. But even in the meantime, when we're networking online like this, like Kathy and Leslie and Jackie said, put your picture up there. That's the only way you can start building your brand. You know, don't be, you know, these blank boxes that I have in the view of the gallery of people attending on the screen. All I see is names. I don't see faces. And people should really be okay with putting their face or their picture or something out there so they can start to build that brand, you know. Stop hiding behind it, so to speak. But when we do have an opportunity to, you want to attend meetings. You know, you can go on to meetup.com and look at those meetings. You can see what things you know, appeal to you, your preferences. There's everything from Star Trek meetings to real estate meetings, of course, TREIA meetings, Chamber of Commerce, any kind of, you know, things like that out there. Volunteer work is a fantastic way to get out there, socialize when we can, again, safely, and meet people. So you have to get up and you have to talk to people. And, you know, if you want to measure it, at one point, I was doing some training on this, and people would measure it by how many business cards they got at the end of the night. But what would happen is kind of like, you know, when you were dating and people would get their phone numbers back and forth, right? But their digits. So in this case, with the business card, you want to make sure that you're following up with those people, that you're not just collecting the cards and putting them in a pile and not doing anything with them. Okay. So think about the message. Is it going to benefit your audience? So when you think about a sales call, because this is really what it kind of boils down to, right? You have a business that you want to grow. You want leads so that you can buy houses. Who knows what it, you know, whether it's wholesaling you're doing, or buy and hold, or flipping, whatever the case, you want leads, some form of a lead. So when you think of it and you boil it down to a sales presentation in 30 to 60 seconds, you have to think about, okay, what can I leave this person with that they're going to think about? And it's going to kind of like, you know, tickle at their conscience a little bit and say, wow, I should call that person. And usually it's something to do with statistics or numbers. I can give you this much more profit. I can bring you this much more percentage of such and such, or whatever it is, you know. And those are the things that they remember, because they think, wow, that benefits me. That's going to make me more money, or more profitable, or happier, or whatever, improve the situation. So tell them what you can do for them, you know, but you have to figure out how you're going to frame that in the 60 seconds. Okay. Give them a call to action. You know, make sure that you don't just have that pile of business cards on the side of your desk or whatever. Make sure that you're picking up the phone, that you're calling, or that you're emailing. It was nice meeting you. And that you're participating in that dialogue back and forth. You know, that's huge. People who don't follow through with those contacts and points of contacts, they're just literally leaving money and opportunity on the shelf. I know I've probably talked about this in the past, but one of the best little apps for business cards, so you don't have to enter all that information in, is called Cam Card, C-A-M, like short for camera, Cam Card. And it's a free app, and you just I don't make any money by talking about it, just FYI, but you download it on your phone and you snap a picture of the business card, and it lifts all of the data and it asks you to verify it, and then you add it, and you can create groups and subgroups and all these things with your contact list. So it's a great way to do that. And now you can share your business cards electronically, digitally. So there's so many awesome new things these days, especially because of the contactless. It's kind of, businesses have adjusted, so it's making it a little bit, you know, better, easier for us to communicate our business information and our contact information. Okay. So why should they do business with you versus somebody else? You know, they can go talk to a million different people, or maybe hundreds. When you're at a TREIA meeting, a general meeting, there's so many people there. So why are you different than the next person they're going to talk to if they're standing in the buffet line, or if they're standing, you know, in one of the networking group, side group meetings, or in the meeting where it's welcoming new people to TREIA, first time, you know, member meeting. So how are you standing apart? What is it that you offer that they can use? Think about it. You can't, you know, just let it be just your name. Hi, my name's Cheryl, and this is what I do. You have to give them a reason to want to talk to you, okay? So to generate those referrals, obviously you're building your relationship, okay? So you need to be able to cultivate that, begin the dialogue, you know, refresh the relationship as you go by making a point of contact back and forth. We all know, you know, we've met a ton of people over our lifetimes that one time, and that's it. and you don't remember them, they're not memorable, or you're not memorable to the other people, how can you change that? You know, and the first step is building on it, cultivating it, you know, point of contact, refreshing it. Provide them with referrals. I have one person in particular that just stands out far and away, and we get wonderful referrals from lots of people, but there is this one person that I started working with a little over a year ago, and he introduced me to a local banker. And I don't use this banker, but this banker refers so many new investors in this area to us who are buying and holding real estate, and they need us to manage it. So I, you know, have sent over, a bouquet of flowers, thanking them, and I referred back business to her. Of course, as far as people needing commercial loans and things like that. But honestly, I think in a matter of maybe 6 months, I've gotten at least a dozen or more referrals from her that have all become our clients. So referrals are huge. It's currency, you know, it's currency. So the other thing is you want to leave a takeaway, not just a business card. You can do that, but you want to think about maybe something outside of the box. So if you look at marketing items, you know, what is the takeaway? So marketing items, business card, yeah. If you give them something that has value, for instance, when I just meet somebody who's not in the industry, I tell them what I do, and I tell them if they know somebody who's selling a home and we buy it, and they contact us and we buy it, then I'm going to give them, and I have a number, usually it's about $300. I'll say, I'll pay you $300. You know, it's a car payment, you know, so I'll pay you that $300. Call me up if so-and-so comes along and says this to you, and you call me and we buy that house, I will come back and pay you that money. And they're like, really? And I said, yeah, and if you do it every single month, then you're paying off your car payment with our referral money. So whatever it is, you know, just think about what is it going to be and do it, follow through with it. Because the minute you pay somebody that one-time referral fee the first time, they tell everybody. So what I've done, and we're going to kind of talk about it on the next slide a little bit, but I'm going to, you know, dive in a little bit now too. What I have done in the past is I would go to, you know, when I was first just kind of trying out different methods, I would go to some kind of odd lot place that sold a bunch of things for cheap. So maybe it was mugs or, you know, jelly jars or mason jars, whatever. And I would go to the candy bin and I would fill it up with whatever seasonal candy or cookie or biscotti or whatever it was. And I would fill it up and I would tie it off with my business card and a clear transparent sticker on the front of whatever it is. And I would bring it in to that business, you know, knock, knock, you walk in the door. Hair salons, I don't know why, it is just one of the best possible places for this. And if you think about it, so a person who's going to get their hair done, and I know we're talking about this on this TREIA meeting, right? But when you go get your hair done, you're a captive audience, right? If you're a woman, it's going to take probably minimally a half an hour to an hour to get haircut, trim, maybe you're getting, you know, I don't know, color, whatever. So the bottom line is that you're sitting in that chair, right, for a little while. And the person who you're talking to, and they talk to you, they make conversation because that's how they build their repeat business, right? So they're doing it. So if you, as a customer, man or woman, sitting getting your hair cut, and you say, oh yeah, I'm doing this. And then do you mind if I come back later because I have some stuff for you? I have some gifts for you. Oh, sure. So you take note of how many chairs around the room in that salon there are that people work in, you know, out of their business, and say there are 10. So if this is a busy place, they could potentially have, you know, several people coming through that chair, that each chair times 10, scaling it every single day. So imagine if you were sitting at that chair in front of that mirror, and there's that little shelf there that has all the hair product stuff on it, and you had a mug or some kind of something, some promo item sitting there with your name on it, your business name, your phone number, you know, something to do with real estate, but we buy houses, whatever it is, whatever your message is or tagline is. And somebody's staring at that and looking at that, and they say, huh, what is that? you know, and the person's like, oh yeah, one of my clients does this, and give them lots of your cards, give them a little brochure, give them a flyer, something that says, if you give me an off-market deal, I will give you a referral fee if I buy it. You know, however you want to frame it and make it look pretty and snazzy, but you just want to get that message across. And for 30 bucks, 40 bucks, or whatever it was, for a couple of dozen of these mugs that I filled with candy and some cellophane and some ribbon and hole punch business cards and all this stuff, I went there, I delivered it. And honestly, maybe it was like 2 or 3 months later, I went back seasonally. So, you know, you do like the Valentine's Day candy, the 4th of July stuff, and like, you know, seasonally. So I went back 2 or 3 times later, and sure enough, they had a referral for me. And then when I paid that first girl, her name is Vika, when I paid Vika her $300, all of a sudden, everybody was like, it's the candy lady. And I don't mind if they call me the candy lady, as long as they give me real estate leads, I will be the candy lady. You know, I will come back with more mugs full of cookies and candy, as long as they call me with those real estate leads.
Green candy.
So it's marketing, it's grassroots marketing. You know, it's just one way of getting the ball rolling. And if you think of it, there are many different companies or different customer-driven, you know, type businesses that you have a captive audience. So I'm sure you can think of many, many more. But that's why I put that picture of the, you know, the mug up there with the business cards on it, because that type of thing does actually make an impact and impression, and pretty soon it catches on, you know. So also there's other things you can purchase, but make sure it's something that it's not a one-time use. For instance, like water bottles. We've put money into water bottles and labels and chocolate bars with labels and things like that at certain times of the year, but you know, it's one and done. So you have to think of something that's going to have some longevity to it. Okay. So we just talked about the hair salon. So this kind of gives you the breakdown. So if you do the math, one chair, based on how many customers sit in that chair, how many days a week. So just say that there's one chair, 7 customers, and there's 28 days that the shop is open. So that's 196 opportunities or potential referrals just from the one chair. And if you even get 2 or 3 of those a month, or 1 even a month, it's awesome, you know, and you're building up that following. And it's not just hair salons and barbershops. You can go and talk to an attorney's office. You can talk to dentists and doctors. I mean, I went in with my cat, no longer with me, but you know, she was ill and the vet was treating her, and he started asking me what I did because we were sort of in that awkward silence moment. And I told him, and he ended up investing with me as an angel investor. So just talk to people, you know. Okay, so take action. There are lots of ways to get yourself out there. And you do want to think about, who am I? What is my business? What do I want to communicate? What is the benefit, the takeaway, and follow up. Those are the key components to the elevator pitch. So when you're kind of looking outside of that to get to where you have your phone starting to ring and it's starting to generate these leads, you can put out bandit signs. I know all the gurus say put out bandit signs. That's great. But instead of doing that, what if you called the numbers on the signs that are already out and say it says we buy ugly houses or we buy houses or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You call them up and you say, okay, hey, I saw your sign on the corner of such and such, and I'm looking for this. So you can become one of their buyers, be added to their buyers list. You can become maybe somebody who's looking for them, you know, bird dog, or maybe even wholesaler. So utilize those people to, you know, kind of further what your goals are for your business, okay? Drive, you know, get out there. If you don't want to do it, pay other people to do it. Get out there. Look for sale by owners. Look for houses that have overgrown grass, you know, abandoned, potential absentee landlord type situation or owner situation. Feel free to knock on doors. I mean, do it safely, be careful, especially now, do it with masks on and so on and so forth. but, don't be afraid to get out there and knock on doors. One of the biggest things that I have been really successful with in finding homes that I can flip or buy and hold that we renovate is when you find an abandoned house and you don't know, who, sorry, my phone, you don't know who's the owner yet. You're just kind of driving through the neighborhood, driving for dollars, as they say. If it's in the evening or in the morning or on the weekend and there's people around, I ask them, who owns this house? What happened? How long has it been vacant? And most of the time they actually run out and they get a phone number and come back and say, oh yeah, this is their, the number that I have for the person. And then you're starting to build that rapport, so it actually helps a lot to get out and knock on doors and talk to people, to the neighbors. Also talk to local providers. People, mailmen, mailwomen, mail people, they're great. I've had people who work for the Postal Service give me referrals. I had a police officer who, and they know where the houses are that are abandoned or, potentially, where it might be something that is vacant now because of whatever reason, I actually had a police officer once tell me there was a guy who was arrested and he was going away for a long time, so that house is probably going to be available. And sure enough, the family sold the house and, it did come to fruition. So you just never know. So we already talked about the doctors and dentists and attorneys and all of that, but it's only limited by your imagination, So that's the whole point of that there. As far as building your team, one of the biggest things, and we were talking about this before the call or the meeting officially started, but one of the things that you have to be careful of, and I'll be involved in some things like talking about this in the future, but wholesalers, it's part of the team, but you have to vet them. And when you find a really good one, they're really worth their weight in gold. But unfortunately, a lot of them are given in crash course and they don't really know their numbers. And so when I get a wholesaler that contacts me with a deal, I always do my own due diligence. I check the numbers, and more than likely, most of the time, the numbers don't work. And I send it back to them and tell them, yeah, these numbers didn't add up because what you're telling me is the ARV isn't. Sorry, it isn't. So it is really critical that you build your team with people who you have vetted, that you can call on, that have common goals. So when you're doing your elevator pitch, you want to think about, could this be somebody that can be on my team? And you don't want anyone to take over your team. You want to be the captain of your team, because somebody else, if you give them too much control, can run it off the rails or off the road, so to speak. So if you're going to drive your bus, and everyone else can be passengers on your bus, but you want them all to have the same goal, common goal, right? So build your team. What do you need? It depends on your business. If your business model is, flipping, you're going to need a great contractor, a great closing attorney, a great, all these people are going to be part of your team. But if you're doing something entirely different, like buy and hold, you would need a great property manager, like we are. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, no, actually really serious. Okay, so, and don't put the cart before the horse. Make sure, and this, I've seen this a lot. So I've mentored a lot of people who went to this guru thing, paid a ton of money, which I'm not, saying it's a bad thing, but, when the dust settles, there's a lot of things that you can get really excited about and go out and start making commitments to contractually. For instance, spending X amount of dollars on, I don't know, websites and, setting up Pat Live, lead call answering calls, centers. There's just so much marketing things, sending out through a mail company that basically sends out a postcard to you know, 1,000 people in the zip code, and then they do a 7-touch or a 5-touch, you know, marketing, you know, campaign or whatever. Just think about, what is my budget, you know, and it's a whole nother meeting and discussion, but don't put the cart before the horse. You know, start small, grow organically, think about really what you are capable of and what people that you have in your sphere that may want to partner with you can balance you out with. Everyone has strengths and everyone have things that they need to build on, you know. And so if you're really good at one thing and somebody is really good at another, and you guys have a great potential to be, you know, a balanced partnership, that's wonderful. You can really even it out. But, you know, you want to make sure you find the people organically and don't put that cart before the horse. You know, don't go out there and get a whole bunch of stuff that you're kind of like, what's going on? And you're not ready to accept those lead generating phone calls. I've seen that happen a lot, where somebody will spend thousands of dollars on all these great phone call lead generating things. When the phone rings, they don't know what to say and they lose the deal. So grow organically, really think about it. You know, build your team. Who do you need to be part of that team? Okay. So business plan. I know that people don't like this phrase, this word, a business plan, but you should have one. If you're starting a business, you need a plan. If you're already in business, you really need a plan. It's worth taking the time to sit down and think about, what am I going to do? How am I going to get there? I need an elevator pitch. I need to go attend meetings. I need to figure out which direction I might want to go in, or maybe try a few different directions and see what feels right and what you're good at, and then play to your strengths. So that is, and I don't even know what time it is right now, but that is the main content of what I wanted to discuss with you for, oh, okay, it's about 6:45, so we're actually in pretty good shape. I don't know if there's any questions because I can't see that screen.
None yet, but y'all stick your questions in the chat so we can ask Cheryl. And I would like to say this, you know, oh, I just told y'all to keep your cameras on and I turned mine off. Look at that. That's because I was cooking dinner and I didn't want y'all to have to watch me chopping Brussels sprouts. So, you know, this is one of the best things of COVID, if there is such a thing. I would have never gone to a Fayetteville subgroup meeting, ever, never. I'm not going to drive to Fayetteville. Sorry, you know. But having now gotten to know Cheryl and listening to her, I'm going to tell you what, I would never, if I were you, I would never miss one of her presentations, because it's always excellent. It's always timely. It's always well put together. You know, I mean, wow, like what she was saying tonight. I mean, even if I already knew, I've been, you know, a real estate investor for 25 or more years, longer than you want to know. But I still learn something. For example, dude, my desk in my law practice I have so many business cards and I have little things I stick them in. It's the bane of my life. Now, if nothing else, if I knew everything she talked about tonight, that little app that she talked about, that is worth its weight in gold. I mean, that's just, and Cheryl is the queen of that, man. Every presentation I've heard her give, she has something like that. She's the queen of tech nuggets, all those little apps and things. It's freaking awesome.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I have to tell you though, a little embarrassing moment. So, so our company's growing. I'm super happy and proud about that. You know, and we're working very hard to achieve that. But so we know we're hiring people, right? So now I have an administrative assistant, and she comes. Yeah, I do. I actually have two. I have a virtual assistant and I have a physical administrative assistant, and I always have a part-time maintenance person too, and of course my full-time maintenance person, which is sitting to my left. Yeah. So, bottom line is, I had, you know, I had gone to trade shows, and you know, when you go to trade shows, you get those tote bags full of stuff. And so I had that, and I had all these business cards, and I was sort of like moving everything into this desk area and like, okay, this is now where we're going to be. And we went from the smaller space to the bigger space. So I had stacks of these cards and all these brochures and these things in these tote bags. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I threw them in a drawer, right? So I get the whole office set up. My files are crisp and perfect and standardized, and I'm super proud of them. And they're, you know, you can audit those things. You can eat off those things. They're so clean, you know. But I had this drawer that I kept dumping all this stuff in my desk. So my assistant, her name's Naisha, she comes into the office. She's like, Cheryl, what would you like me to do? What can I help you with? And I'm like, and then I thought, oh my gosh, the drawer. So I literally took one of the tote bags that had been emptied into the drawer. I took it out and I filled it all up and I handed it to her literally. So for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, she has been adding, you know, everything into our contact list, you know, and using the cam card thing, and she's exporting, and she knows how to do things, you know. She's 25, right? So she's
Yeah.
Can I borrow her?
From those kids.
oh my God.
I need her.
Yeah. So,
You should see my desk.
I have
And
4 businesses. So like for the band management, I go to all those trade shows, and I have the same thing, only I have mine in boxes, 4 different
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. So I got to a point where I was like, oh, here. So then now we're getting to the point where we have so many doors that we're managing, which I'm thrilled about. But our software that we're currently using isn't as good as it should be. I want it to be better and easier, so we can just do one entry, one point of entry for every bit of information. So we're going to be upgrading. So in order for us to upgrade, we are doing this onboarding process with AppFolio, which I highly recommend. But you have to have a certain number of hundreds of doors to kind of like make it worthwhile financially to do it. So we're building a professional website integrated with them and all this stuff. So back to my wonderful administrative assistant. So we have this list, I'm telling you, like a laundry list of different things that we have to send over to AppFolio for the onboarding process. So silly me, I say to her, so in order to get all the tenant data, the rent roll data, and all of the advertising, marketing, and client and vendor, and like all these different data things, you know, that data entry information, I said to her, well, why don't you go to the files, you know, pull all the data, enter it in. And she says, oh, no, I got it. And I'm like, what is she doing? So I go and look at her screen. She has a split screen. It's just a regular computer monitor, right? But she has figured out how to split the screen into 3. So she's got a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet on one. She's got our current property management software program on another. And then she's got this other Excel spreadsheet for our client list and vendor list. And she's, you know, going back and forth, entering all this data. And I thought, for real, it was going to take her a couple weeks. She's done. I gave it to her, 4 days ago? And I'm just like, how is this? But thank you. And yeah, it's awesome.
She's how old?
Yeah.
She's 25.
Okay, because I'm telling you, a 6-year-old could figure out how to do that faster than me.
So Cheryl is a rock star. I'm telling you, I don't care where
you're Raleigh, we all need her.
From a 25-year-old, you're still a rock star. Another really great tip was that beauty salon thing. I have a client who I happened to have lunch with today, or I wouldn't have been able to relate this story. But when I had talked to him before, and I live in a small town, Pittsboro, North Carolina, and he would come by my office, and he used to be a teacher. And last year he quit his teaching job because he went full-time with the investing. And I said, what do you do with yourself all the time now? And he said, I hang out at this like little used car lot down the road. And I thought, okay, that's pretty odd, but whatever, floats your boat. Okay, you know, weird. But he's got, every time I see him, he's got like 4 new properties he's buying. And so I never asked, but today, as I had lunch with him, I said, where do you get all these properties? Because a bunch of them were tax delinquent. I said, do you use the tax delinquent rolls? He said, no. From the used car lot. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you'd be surprised the people who come there and they just talk, and I hang out there and I get all my leads from there. I'm like, oh my God. And Cheryl, he didn't even do anything formal like you said. Wait till I tell him that, you know, he'll go crazy. But he's just like hanging out with the good old boys, and it's a small town and they come there, I guess, and they have properties to sell. So that kind of stuff is gold, man. Like, one of the things as a new investor that's so hard to figure out is where do you get the leads for these properties before other people do, before they go on the market.
Yeah.
Man, that is a little gold.
Without spending a ton of cash.
Yeah. And that's what we would call, like, you know, in these big seminars and things with the gurus, they call them golden nuggets, you know? And really, it's like, it's just common sense. Like, what can I do? Where can I do it? What kind of relationship or thing can I build on that's already part of my universe, you know? So
I would say, I mean, what Cheryl said about talk about what you do constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My very first deal that I did, my very first investment property, I was so excited. I had a property under contract. I didn't know any private money lenders. I didn't know any of the stuff. I had gotten a pre-approved with a hard money lender, so I was going to be paying a lot of points. I was going to be paying a lot of interest. But before I closed on the deal, I just happened to have lunch with an old colleague that I used to work with. And I was so excited about my deal. I was talking about my new company and I'm, you know, I told her what I did. I told her the numbers in this deal. I mean, I didn't mean to do an elevator pitch, but in the course of that lunch, an hour and 20 minutes later, this person that I had known for years, I mean, we weren't like great friends, but I didn't think that she had any money. I didn't think she was poor, but I mean, you don't think that she said all of a sudden, she was like, well, tell me about the private money thing you were talking about. And I said, oh, you know, you can make a lot of money in this business if you lend on you know, other people's properties. And I talked to her about, you know, how private money lenders are protected. And she said, I would love to do that. And I went, great, let me get you in touch with some investors. And she said, Jackie, no, I would love to fund your deal. And I went, you want to do what? And she was like, I'd love to fund your deal. And I went, okay. I was brand new. I didn't expect it. With it 2 weeks later, literally, I closed on my very first property completely with private money. We turned it around in what, 2 months, 3 months. That one conversation, she made money, introduced me to her brother. They introduced me to her parents, and it just sort of grew organically. And I say that just because personally, I hear from so many new investors, and I was one, especially when we talk about private money and how do you fund the deals, people are like, well, I don't know anybody that has 150,000. I don't know anybody that has, you know, all that cash. I couldn't ask for money. Sometimes it just happens organically if you are confident and you're excited and you're talking about this business that you love. So what Cheryl said is spot on.
Yep.
Constantly talk about it, but be confident. You never know what'll happen.
well, I agree with that for sure. That's how I got funded the first. I didn't go to a hard money lender. I was using my own money, and then I was kind of talking about it and talking about some results. And when you produce results, people take notice, you know. And you know, so I did it, and the guy just said, "Hey, do you want, you know, how much do you pay in interest?" And at the time, I was kind of like, I don't know. So I think I said 10%. And so he did it. And then the next 2 or 3, like you said, it just kind of ripple effect. And he referred people and other people referred. And, you know, we went to the first closing when they discharged the mortgage, and I finished that first flip with his money. He handed me back the check and said, do it again.
Yep.
And then he told other people, and it was so much fun, you know? And when you start doing that and you do it well, and that repetition and that result-oriented stuff. So they say, you know, like on Shark Tank, they say, you put your money, you invest in the rider, not in the horse. The horse has to be healthy, but you're investing in the rider, you know? And that's what it is. I think with hard money lenders, they want somebody who's done it a few times. They know the ropes. They don't have to be babysitting them, but you know, they're investing in the rider and they're collateralizing it with the horse. So,
So yeah, if y'all were on at the beginning, you heard me say that I thought everyone should see that meeting last night. You know what? I consider this the same. And we were talking before the meeting started that sometimes these meetings with the unsexy titles don't draw big crowds. And, you know, people flock to the ones that say how to buy real estate with no money down, but the ones like this, they don't sound as sexy. But I'm going to tell you what, y'all are ahead of the game for having this information. I think, you know, maybe it seems like a good idea to put together a little new investor series that make all of our new members mandatory to watch certain videos. And this one and the one last night should be 2 of them because this is great stuff. So,
well, you know, Kathy, just one more quick thing. When I presented this at our live, you know, TREIA Fayetteville meeting about a year ago, I did this, a version of this, and everybody around the room was paired off and they got up and they started role playing with each other with elevator pitches. And honestly, afterwards, I got emails and phone calls saying, hey, it worked. Oh my gosh, I never would have thought that.
it does.
It's just breaking through the fear, I think, and just doing it. You know?
And that role playing would be so helpful with something like this. Maybe once we're back to meeting, we can have you come up to a main meeting and do that live. That would be awesome.
Happy to. Yeah, it'd be fun.
So, as always, Cheryl, thank you so much for your wisdom.
Cheryl.
And
You're welcome.
thank you, everyone, from being here. Let's see, I'm getting a chat. Becca Lorenzini says, a great webinar. I'm learning so much. Thank you. Thank you, Becca. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. The recording will be up soon, along with last night's. Unless anyone has anything else, we're going to say have a great night.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good meeting.